Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Inderpal, for giving us a lot to think about. Very happy to see you all. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you, Safar, for organizing this important forum in Ann Arbor. I'm very glad Arvind is with us. Glad to see him. This is our third gathering. You brought us to this juncture. You have shown great vision, energy, courage, and collective spirit. Hearty congratulations to all of you organizers for the part of the Safar you have accomplished. We truly, truly admire you. And we thank you and we wish you all the best in reaching your goals. May you continue to promote Sikh feminist research, build broad alliances in this new world, and engage the community locally and globally. Safar involves a mapping from one sphere to another. It is informed by our journeying as we move forward into new horizons and acquire new possibilities. Journeys help us dream about our destinations, just as they help us look back at our origins, memory, and so forth, which we just heard. The topic for this morning, and this I must say, Safar means very much to me personally, and so when it's something emotionally you're involved with, it becomes very difficult. What do I speak on? And so I called Taranjeet the other day, and I said, Taranjeet, I don't know what to do. And she said, okay, we'll talk again. I'll think about it. And the next morning, I had some kind of an epiphany. This is Safar, journey. And I thought, what is the Sikh Safar? We have the 5 khans, Guru Nanak's Japji, from stanza 34 to 37. That is a spiritual journey. And I thought we could put our lenses, our Safar lenses, and kind of re-see that journey, which we recite, which we think about, which is kind of our foundational text. So that's what I want to do today. So the 5 popular khans, Taram, Gyan, Saram, Karam, and such, they go from the stanza 34 to 37. And I want to approach from the theme. The conference theme is to know is not enough. And I again congratulate you all for thinking about this very important theme. Oh, and I forgot to thank my wonderful, wonderful host. We've been having a wonderful time here in Ann Arbor, and I'm very, very grateful to Jaspreet and his family who have been hosting us and giving us lots of humor and lots of things to think about and eat and so forth. So with that, I must say, to know is not enough. This is the theme. So we know the Japji Sahib. We know those 5 khans. But what do we do with them? So we need to look at it from a practical angle. And, literary theorists like the Gadamer and so forth, and they remind us that the cognitive and the practical are not different dimensions. What is analysis? When we read these, it involves understanding, interpretation, but also the application. Application. And that somehow we forget. Talk about memory and forgetting, and somehow it slips out. So Gadamer's advice, and that's what I want to follow, every text must be understood at every moment, in every concrete situation, in a new and different way. So when we look at the 5 khans from a 21st century Safar framework, it becomes an important process that inspires us to act upon our sacred text. What we get is a strong connection between spirituality and activism. I repeat, it is a transformational process which involves subjective, relational, collaborative, interpretive, and performative dimensions. Scholarship has focused on the contemplative aspects of the 5 khans and has really ignored the stress on action. Thus, we have missed out quite a lot. And the way the exegetes and interpreters in the past have looked at, when you look at scholars and so forth, very, very, from a perspective, what are these 5 khans? Many of them, Professor Hugh MacLeod and others, it's a beautiful explanation. And yet, oh no, it's very obscure. We don't understand. And people have argued back and forth. What do these terms mean? Karam, kitho anda hai? What is saram? What does this term mean? Does it come from the Indic word? Does it come from the Arabic Persian word? And so all these conflicts and so forth. And then people are looking at it from a genetic thrust. Historians are very involved. Where does it come from? Is it from the Indic word? Is it from the Bhakti tradition? Or is it something from the Sufi word, the maqamats of the Sufi Sufis. So MacLeod and other scholars, I mean, kind of looking at those kind of, but those genetic kind of, impulses, that kind of overall approach, kind of missing out. What is it basically which we recite? So I want to take that kind of a practical angle, and we forget that Guru Nanak himself traveled a great deal. Safar, I mean, if those are the 5 khans, it's not just coming to him from some ethereal, abstract world. He traveled. I mean, some of you have been coming. Just think how difficult travel is in the 21st century. And in 15th century India, traveling to those far-off places, it was emotionally, physically, spirit. I mean, it was a very challenging. And yet he did. It was so important for him to meet with people of different religions, of different castes, classes, genders. Even a Sufi, look at the B40 Janam Sakhi, which I just worked on. And there's a Sufi saint sitting as in a female, totally dressed up. He has a beard, and he's dressed up like a woman. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji is not at all, appalled by it, and having a very calm conversation. And that's the beauty of it, to meet with difference, to meet with plurality. And I think these khans are coming from something very personal that he experienced. So I take it from that angle of Safar. So the first one, Taram Khand, right? It's Japji Pauri 34. It starts out with Rati Ruti Tithivar, Pani Agni Pata, this which is Taram Sal. It goes on and on. What is it doing? The very first line. Rati, Rutti, Tithi, Var. Nights, seasons, days of the week, seasons, months. He is so aware of time, temporality. Where are we right now? It's an engagement which really pulls us into the now and here. Every minute is very, very crucial. And there's a lot in his verse. I'm translating these days. There's a lot in Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Bani where he's extremely conscious of the seconds, of the moments, every little bit. So he's not talking about eternity out there. He's pulling our attention to the now and here. What is the injustice that's around us? He's really kind of locating us very, very much in the here and now, time-wise. And then the next one is Pavan, Pani, Agni, Patal. Pavan, these very elements of air and water and fire and so forth. What are we made of? These are very crucial, not to ignore the physical world. Our body, we are embodied selves. So he's really bringing, who are we, the gender, the notion of me at this point. This is what he is bringing us, very much aware of ourselves, our individual selves, our personal selves. This which is Rakhi Tarti Taramsal. Tarti Rakhi Taramsal, for the Taram. And here again, so the whole thing is, when you talk about community, it's a much larger community he's talking about. And think about the Indic world. Taram was very particular. It was Taram dependent upon your caste, Varana, ashram, what stage you were at, the Brahmin's Taram is not the same as the Kshatriyas, and that was not the same as the Shudra. Everything is very clearly delineated, very clearly marked. You read the laws of Manu, every stage is different. What you do as a householder, what you do as a youngster later on. So everything is extremely divided, everything is very segmented. And here he's proposing Taram for all of us. I mean, that's a marvelous concept in itself. Kind of breaking, shattering all those hegemonies and hierarchies. The earth is placed for righteous action. Which tarti? Sare patal, rati ruti titivar, agli pani patal. This which rakhi tarti taramsal. Utthe rakhi hui hai sadi tarti. So we really need to be cognizant. So on the one hand, it is very individual, and yet at the same time, it is so interrelational. So kind of coming together with the global world. And at the moment, we need to keep those two together. There's a lot here. And again, something that I'm very, philosophers, feminist philosophers have made me very aware that many of the religions, Judeo-Christian religions, kind of pointing towards the heavens out there, kind of a necrophilic imaginary that dominates the world. Whereas here, it's a very earthy. This is here we are launched remember Muhammad Atta when they were going to meet with their Lord, and they got themselves, in fact, they went through Maine and they got their hair done and beard trimmed, and so because they were going to meet with the Lord, and it didn't matter what they were doing here. So Guru Nanak is kind of doing, really, he's orienting us to where we are now and how putting us in a wider community to think about our issues, problems, where we are. So it's really, the first one really bears a deep responsibility to think carefully, morally, and ethically about our locus. Karmi hoye vichar. So, and the importance of karam, actions. Activism is there. Praxis is very much there. We'll go on. So, number 34, Paudi Firandiya 35, Taram Khandaka Eho Taram. So, such is the duty of the realm of duty. Gyan Khandaka Akho Karam. Now, tell us what is the, what's the action? Oh my gosh, action of the realm of knowledge. So, here again, knowledge connected with praxis. Now, what is praxis? I mean, one of my favorite philosophers, Hannah Arendt, calls praxis the highest and most important levels of the active life. Praxis in its simplest construal meaning, theory plus action. It indicates life practice formed from both reflection and action. The self striving to transform the world creatively according to an emerging vision based on its own values actualizes itself as it actualizes its vision. And it's very much there. Ikonkar Satnam, and then soon goes on. Kif sachara hoye, kif kude tu tepal. How to become truth. The one is truth, but even more important is the living of truth. So praxis is very, very crucial to Guru Nanak's ideology and to the Sikh faith to begin with. Okay, so I have 8 minutes or something. I will go through my khands very, very quickly. Then, so by the way, so the realm of knowledge, what's happening? Lots and lots. Kitte, Pavan Pani, Vasantar. I mean, the whole thing is on multiplicity and plurality. And it's really important. The little we know, I know it all. You go to the library and you realize how little one knows. So this is kind of, Guru Nanak is really kind of asking us to confront with knowledge of various kinds, various sages and various ideologies and various languages. Baad vich ki aanda hai ki kitte ketiyan khani, ketiyan bani, kette paat narind. Khani, species, how many species? Ketiyan bani, languages. To learn other languages is very important. Ketiyan khani, ketiyan bani, kete paat narind. How many types of kings and so forth. So many different political systems, societal structures. So we need to learn about them. Education is very, very important. So we have to learn. The more you learn, the more diversity is very significant. And what happens? The more you learn, the ego goes. So the ego, the dissolution of the ego, instead of I know it all, the more you know, the more you realize how little one knows. And I think that was very important. In the realm of knowledge, you realize how little one knows, but also to be open to others, because all these problems that we have is people are not familiar with us. We were talking about it last night. So familiarity of others is very significant. And that's why I want to say the Guru Granth Sahib contains not only the poetry of the Guru, Bani of the Gurus, but also of the Sufis and the Hindu Bhagats. They are very different. But the Gurus were very broad-minded because they wanted us to familiarize ourselves with the other. So that's when we break human mera, tera, and so forth. Familiarity is very significant, and they had that impulse. From there, stanza 36, which is on Saram, which I translate, and there again, some people think, the debate, scholars are, which is very important, scholarly debates, is it coming from the Indic word, sharam, is it from the Persian word, sharam, which is, sharamandi, embarrassment and so forth, or is it from the Indic word saram, which is joy, but it also can be sharman from the Sanskrit, which is effort. So all kinds of, but when you read it, you just get the answer. Saram Khandaki Bani Roop. Saram Khandaki Bani Roop. So for me, it's like the realm of beauty. And I would translate it as the realm of aesthetics, realm of beauty. Tithe kadye, surat, mat, man, buddh. Tithe kadye. Sharpening of the pencil. Surat, matti, man, buddh. All these things, all these mental faculties, these are sharpened. This is the honing of the aesthetics when we say we must read lots of literature and see different films and see works of art and so forth. It's really, really important because something is happening in us. Its aesthetic is very significant. We emphasize too much on religion. But the beauty, that's very, and that's how Sadi Surti, wisdom and mat, intelligence and buddhi, power to, discriminate and so forth. That's how it's refined, honed. Aesthetics is very, very significant in the Sikh world. Rasiya hove musk ka, tab phool pachana. It's only the person, and this is Guru Nanak Dev Ji's verse, one of my favorites from the Guru Granth Sahib, only the rasya jine fragrance, one who has smelled the fragrance, only that person enjoys. So for our everyday practical level, our senses are very significant. It's not the Platonic world where, ideas are supreme and our senses are put down, but everyday life, everyday beauty is very, very significant. And interestingly, Vinod Kod Anand. So in the realm of knowledge, there's a lot of joy, experience of joy. Anand. So knowledge is not, epistemology is not dislocated from enjoyment, from the experience. It's a sapiential form of knowledge. And then we go to the Karam Khand. And again, Karam, what does that mean? Action. Some people have translated it from grace. Difficult word, it could really come from the Indic or the Arabic, Persian world. But again, Karam Khand ki Bani Jor. It's very simply, the Guru kind of puts it there. Karam Khand ki Bani, the language of Karam is Jor, which is kind of gives you strength. And then he talks about people there, Karam Khand ki Bani Joro the, jo de baithe ne, Mahabal Sur, and then Sita Mehma Mai, and so forth. Kare Anand Sacha Mansoi, but they're all in this realm of joy. Now, this is very significant because every day we read it. And fighting patriarchy is not easy. It's such a part of our mentality. And for centuries-old structures, it's very difficult to kind of erase them. Laws and so forth, which are very, very important, are in progress. But until we change the consciousness of the people, nothing changes. And we really need to question it from day to day. Inni and I were just having a conversation in Gurdwara Sahibs and so forth. She was giving prasad, and 2 men refused to take it from her. In today's world, in New York, Connecticut, that kind of place, what's going on? So we really need to question things, and it's a very hard life. And we have models. And also I want us to keep in mind that Sita is there, along with other Sitas. And sometimes our exegetes, somehow we get very paranoid about the Hindu world, which is unnecessary. And Sita is deleted. Or sometimes people, if you read certain exegesis and so forth, from Sita, this Indic paradigm, and it's not just one Sita, he says Sito Sita. So he's really acknowledging a lot of females, not just one. He kind of takes away that one ideal is shifted, and a whole lot of women are shown as paradigms. But what I'm saying is, and we sometimes have trouble acknowledging it. And so sometimes our exegetes, ji Sita nahi hega, ta Sita hoya hega, Sita hoya. Somebody totally devoted into it. Or ji the Sital hegi hai, from cool, which is thanda hoya, like ascetic. Whereas Guru Nanak wants us to keep the emotions. We are human. We are bodied, embodied. That's how we experience the divinity. Not as disembodied souls as in Western philosophy. So these are important parts, but the beauty is that he's acknowledging men and women there in that world. And they are warriors. These are mighty people. So we need models, both male and female. And we need to fight patriarchy. It's not easy. We need to combat it. And Guru Nanak wants us. And that again, sometimes our own history is disrupted. Guru Nanak was all spiritual, all interior. And Guru Gobind Singh we get war, Har Gobind, our sixth Guru starts wearing the swords of Miri Piri. Yodhas and all are right in Guru Nanak's Karam Khand. We cannot forget it. Our history is connected. So it's right there. It's introduced, very much there. The mighty warrior's heroic spirit is a part of Guru Nanak's verse. And very interestingly, these two realms are kind of connected together. So the next segment, the Sach and the Khand, Karam Khand and Sach Khand are connected together. And here in the Sach Khand, Kar Sach Khand Vase Nrinkar. Sach Khand Vase Nrinkar. So in the realm of, you make me very nervous. Give me just 2 minutes. I did see it. And I will just leave it here. So in the realm of truth, this is the final realm. We start our Japji Sahib Shuru Hunde Ne Ik Onkar Satnam. The realm, the final realm is Sachkhand. Sachkhand Vase Nrinkar. Nrinkar Othe vas reha hai. Nrinkar, it's a formless one. And I really urge us to think about that one. It is formless. So no male and no female. And if it happens to be male, then it should also be female. It's both. It's both. Appe purk, appe hai nar. These are the verses. So let's not kind of get stuck and into that patriarchal mold, because that's where we need to shift our consciousness. And we really have to work at it. Immediately when we think of Nrinkar, you know, it's formless. But if we need to bring something up, it'll be the male that immediately emerges. And we cannot let that happen. And we really have to, all of us have to work upon it. And then it just goes on. Tithe Khand Mandal Prabandh. That's where the constellations are. That's where the continents are. That's where the universes are. So what's he doing? He's opening us to this infinite world. Infinite, you know, we talk about multiverse today, physicists and astrophysicists. This is a multiverse that Guru Nanak imagined, envisioned. And he's leaving us with that. So this is kind of the freedom he's opening us up to. This is kind of being an authentic subject, where you are open, and this notion of wonder. Wah. I mean, this is the beauty of the world. He was very much, he enjoyed things, he experienced things. And this is where liberation comes. And this is the world. This is what he charted us. From that world of the Khan, Wonder, Brahmand, all that, the final stanza of the Japji is what? We come to a smithy, goldsmith making gold. So from this very expansive world to a tiny little shop, little smithy. And that's where he leaves us. So we are to do our professions, whatever our words be, but it is from that expanded vision. It's a really beautiful, so the suffer, each of us is involved in very minute little things, whether we are lawyers, doctors, educationists, gardeners, cooks, we can do it. But with the knowledge, this is really quite a journey from that world of the earth to that expansive knowledge, heroism, coming to the realm of truth, which is truth is what? It is just infinity. It's infinity, the more and more. And it does something to us. It opens us up. So not to be insular, not to be narrow, shattering our little boundaries and experiencing that, and then plugging into whatever we do, whatever it be. Thank you. Sorry if I took